a British man, Paul Urey, who was held by Russian-backed separatists in Ukraine, has died in detention. Paul Urey, originally from Warrington, was detained in April and accused of being a mercenary. Officials from the group said he died in captivity on the 10th of July from underlying health conditions and stress.
Well, our correspondent Joe Inwood joins us now. Joe, do we know anything more about the circumstances surrounding Paul Urey's death?
No, Mr. Urey had been in detention in the Donetsk People's Republic, so-called, for a few months. He was arrested at the end of April. He was trying with another man, Dylan Healy, to cross into occupied territory in what seems to have been a very ill-fated humanitarian mission. When he was arrested, he was accused of being a mercenary, something he and his family have strenuously denied, as have the British government. And then we know that on the 10th of July, because of, according to the Donetsk People's Republic, underlying health conditions, he died. We found out about this yesterday, 5 days after his death, and his mother has been very emotional, very upset, angry at what she sees as the mistreatment of her son. And the British government have said the same thing. Yesterday they summoned the Russian ambassador, and the Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, said that he should be held accountable for this man's death.
And there have been a number of deadly missile attacks recently targeting Ukraine. Just tell us about the latest in Dnipro.
Yeah, there were sirens actually right across the country yesterday, down in Odessa here in the capital, but it was in Dnipro that the missiles seem to have had the most impact. They hit an industrial facility, we understand, in the city, and they killed 3 people. There was a really graphic image on social media of a bus driver who had finished his shift and was going back, and his head was mostly destroyed. It was just another example of ordinary people going about their lives, dying in Russian missile strikes.
Thank you very much. Joe Inwood talking to us from Kyiv.
Well, let's stay with Ukraine because the country says it needs urgent shipments of long-range artillery and other weapons to slow the advance of Russian forces in the east of the country.
Ukraine has received huge amounts of military equipment from more than 30 countries, but its troops are still heavily outgunned in some areas. Our defence correspondent Jonathan Beale reports.
On Ukraine's eastern front, they're about to target Russian positions. This time using American-supplied howitzers and ammunition. Ukraine's still vastly outgunned. These help, but they can't hang around.
Western weapons like this have given Ukraine an advantage in terms of accuracy and range, but they've also become high-value targets, with Russia trying to hunt them down.
They prepare to move out quickly before they become the target.
Go!
Well, that's the Russian reply coming in just now. They fired their shots and within minutes, Russian artillery were responding, shells landing close to us where we are now. There's another one. This time they miss. The howitzers get away. We also make our exit towards the cover of a forest. A Russian surveillance drone has been spotted overhead. The artillery commander tells me the Russians are regularly targeting them because of their Western weapons. Because they're precise and effective, he says. Ukraine's also having to learn a Western way of war, the emphasis on precision. And this one's making a difference. The US HIMARS rocket launcher. Ukraine doesn't have many, but it can now strike targets from distance. But it's creating a massive logistical challenge. Ukraine's now having to maintain dozens of weapons from dozens of countries, like these British-supplied armoured vehicles. Each one requires separate training and spare parts. And weapons supplied by the West also use a different caliber of ammunition, like these German self-propelled guns.
Do you have enough ammunition for this gun?
Yes.
Can you tell me how many rounds you have for each of these weapons?
Nope, many rounds for all Russians.
The West still claims it's not directly involved in this conflict. But in truth, it's now an essential part of Ukraine's war machine. Jonathan Beale, BBC News, Eastern Ukraine.